The harmonized sales tax, the HST, which the Liberals have put on the hydro bill and which the New Democrats and the Conservatives would like to take off, and the Greens, I think you like it on as well. But let's go through this. People say it's a necessity. You don't have a choice about heating your home, and therefore putting the HST on your hydro bill isn't fair. What do you say to that?
Well, the tax reform in the HST came in, and it's creating 600,000 jobs across this province. There's a reason why Ontario has created more jobs this year than the rest of Canada combined.
More than the
We've had
country
to make some
combined in the last
challenging
month.
political decisions to ensure that we could drive this province forward into the future. Now the PCs say they can take this off. They say they can keep the clean energy benefit going. What they've done is created a $14 billion gap in their platform that they're going to have to pay for somehow or another. They're going to have to pay for it through cutbacks to healthcare and education. There's no question to that whatsoever.
John, if you take the HST off the hydro bill, how much revenue will you forego if you form the government?
We're talking about between the HST off hydro and home heating and the debt retirement charge off, we're talking about $1.6 billion.
Altogether.
That's my, but I want
so
to
again, in a province where we've got a 16,
if I could go back.
I got to know this.
Okay.
In a province where we've got a $16 billion, and I asked him this, so I got to ask you. We're running a $16 billion deficit. We can afford to go to the markets and borrow another $1.6 billion in order to take the HST
Well, we're going to
off?
stop the exorbitant subsidies that they have under the FIT program.
Kill 50,000
we're going to honor,
jobs.
we're going to, now, Brad wants to talk about jobs. If I could touch on that, because I never had the opportunity, Steve.
Go ahead.
They talk about 50,000 jobs. They talk about guarantees and this and that. Brad used to talk about 800 jobs at the wind farm in Sarnia. Well, we all know how many jobs are at the wind farm in Sarnia. It's one of the biggest in the world. You know how many people are working there? 8. One of them's a security guard, and another one cuts the grass.
How many construction jobs came with that?
That's very temporary jobs. So these guys talk about jobs.
John, that's not even an honest way to portray that.
But if we want to go back to the removal of the HST off the hydro bill, we're going to be able to do this because we are no longer going to be signing these exorbitant contracts. We're not going to go ahead with the Samsung contract that amounts to $1 billion of subsidies on power through the life of this contract will be for another 25 years.
Killing a $7 billion investment in our economy,
$1 billion per
jobs.
year for the life of the contract. That's the subsidies. Plus, Steve, they froze out every other Ontario company out of even being able to bid for this contract and guaranteeing them unfettered preferential access to 2,500 megawatts on the grid.
Let me get Peter Tabbins here. You also believe in taking the HST off the hydro bill.
Yeah, we opposed it in the first place.
Because
families are very hard pressed. They don't have the cash to deal with the expenses that are coming in. If they're going to actually make those energy efficiency investments in their home, they need help from Ontario, not more of a stick. When I started the energy efficiency program at the City of Toronto in the early 90s, when we would go out and talk to people, small businesses, they didn't have the capital to make any kind of matching investments. They could invest in energy efficiency if they had assistance from government. That's the case with families I talk to when I go door to door.
Steve Dick?
Well, I halfway agree with what you're saying. We do need to invest in efficiency, and it only makes sense if you're going to tax the installation of an air conditioner. Well, you need to tax the energy up so you have an even playing field with it. And we can't go on borrowing more money and not actually taxing energy. Energy is going for Ontario to be successful in the future, for us to really create good jobs, good manufacturing jobs, we need to use energy more productively, and taxing it is part of that process.
Steve Applin, never mind the politics. Talk to me about policy. Is it good policy to put the HST on your hydro bill?
It depends what policy you're talking about. Is it good fiscal policy or is it good energy policy?
Okay, you tell me.
It's one of these. It's a matter of what your philosophy is. If you want to raise money, yes, it's a good idea. If you don't want to raise energy prices, then maybe it's not such a good idea. Mr. Dick is talking about. You seem to be advocating raising energy prices and thinking that's a good thing. I don't think it's a good thing. I think energy prices should be low. We're increasing the load in Ontario. We're asking people to live more cleanly. We're asking people to build up, not out. You need electricity for that. We shouldn't punish people by making the price of a absolutely essential commodity even more.
If you keep the price high, won't people use less of it?
Well, tell that to a senior citizen on a fixed income who lives in a downtown Toronto high-rise who needs to get to her 15th floor apartment. She's not going to walk up those stairs. An Olympic athlete's not going to walk up the stairs.
Steve.
So you're saying that I want to raise the price of energy.
Well, you want prices to stay higher.
What I'm saying is that we don't actually have to spend more to receive the services that we need. Okay, if we invest in energy efficiency, and I've just pointed to air conditioners. Air conditioners are more efficient now than they were. If we invest in energy efficiency, and there's a whole range of
That's
ways
not
to
gonna
do
replace
this.
the
That's not going to help
11,000
a
megawatts we
senior
have in
citizen
nuclear.
in her apartment on the 15th floor.
If I could just
She's
finish here,
Totally.
and I quite agree. You know, if the rates, if we're going to invest in a new nuclear plant, I'll tell you, rates are going to go up. There's no business case for a new nuclear plant. You know, despite what you
There's
say.
no energy in Ontario if we don't.
And
Not enough
if
energy in
we
Ontario.
actually invest in the energy efficiencies,
65% of this is
people's
from
bills will actually stay the same.